Koberger to any of the victims here? Last I talked to your dad, he said the family was looking for connections, but there wasn't anything really apparent at this point.
Yeah, I think we're still going to keep looking. I've had a lot of people reach out with, Instagram posts or even Spotify or lots of connections that they've been able to find. And those are super valuable. All of those go over to, the Moscow Police Department as well as the Idaho State Police and the FBI, because nothing is insignificant at this point. And everything is being looked through.
There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Koberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of, before police had been called. I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
How did you first find out, Olivia, that there was an arrest?
My mom actually told me. I had been staying at her house. Me and my husband were upstairs, and she came up the stairs. It was probably around 11 o'clock stairs, and she came up the stairs. It was probably around 11 o'clock at night, the day before the arrest had been made. At the time, we didn't know what state, and we didn't even have a name. At the time, we didn't know what state, and we didn't even have a name. At the time, we didn't know what state, and we didn't even have a name. We just knew that a suspect was in custody. Because nothing is insignificant at this point.
Did you have any inkling that something was coming?
No, we had no idea. They hadn't released any information, had no heads up about anything. I think I received a call on, it was about 10:30, I think, on Thursday night. And from the Moscow Police Department letting me know that they were in the process of taking someone into custody. They didn't release the name or any of that information to us that night. I immediately called the family and spoke with them. They were obviously, happy and relieved to a certain degree. And then I got more information, more details about who the defendant was in the case the next morning. So.
Me with common sense, but I'm not a professional, so I want to specify that. But they've said the entry point was the slider or the window. It was in the middle floor. So to me, he doesn't have to go upstairs. His entry and exit are available without having to go upstairs or downstairs. Looks like he probably may have not gone downstairs. We don't know that for sure, but he obviously went upstairs. So I'm using logic that he chose to go up there when he didn't have to. And I can kind of tell by my daughter's texts, messages. She did call 911. She wasn't saying anything along the lines of like she had heard something or she was in fear. So I'm just putting the dots together.
You've pulled video seeing the Uber driver dropping them off. You've checked your phone records. Yes.
Timestamps what
Yes.
time they got home.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what police are saying, right?
Right. It's not 1:45.
Kaylee and Maddie were picked up from their home at 1122 King around 10:15. It's about a 5-minute drive down. So they arrived to Corner Club around 10:20, which is different than what was released at 10. We know that Kaylee called for an Uber at 1:45. He arrived at 1:49, got in the car around 1:50. It's about a 5-6 minute drive. They arrived home at 1:56. So she was on my mom's cell plan. So
We pulled my cell phone.
on Sunday, I was able to pull those cell records.
And you could see that she was calling somebody out.
No. The last call is shortly before 3 a.m.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. 2:50 something.
2:52. For both of them.
Yeah.
So she was on my mom's cell plan. So
We pulled my cell phone.
on Sunday, I was able to pull those cell records.
And you could see that she was calling somebody out.
No. The last call is shortly before 3 a.m.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. 2:50 something.
2:52.
For both of them. Yeah. For both of them. Yeah.
It's still our crime scene at this point, so yeah, it'll still be under security.
Okay. I think because of this community, it's a small community, is a factor that a jury pool in this community would be harder to gather with more information out there.
And that is one of the reasons that I stated that we are holding everything close and we're protecting the integrity of the case. We want unbiased individuals in this case. We want people to not know all the facts so that if there's a jury selected from here that we can get that pool.
How hard would that be? Tell us a bit about, Moscow and how tight, because everybody knows everybody.
I'm not sure. We've had cases here before where they've been able to get a jury pool, but that happens with Bill Thompson and his team. So that'd be a great question to ask Bill.
That kind of just tells you who he was, because he wasn't tied to everyone in that room. Ethan wasn't supposed to even be there. And, from what Ethan went through, that this guy just wasn't a man of character. He was just poorly built. And, there isn't going to be some kind of connection that I would think that would explain this. Like, behavior could explain somebody being this brutal to another human being. I mean, he was probably obsessed with just their overall looks and their social media accounts and the fact that they were close.
I'm kind of weary when it comes to the Instagram accounts because right when I first got the name before it came out from police, Brian Koberger, we had a source in Pennsylvania. Like, I immediately couldn't find any social media for him. And then when the name came out officially from the police, suddenly there were all of these social media accounts. Some of them were following the victims. So again, I'm kind of careful in that department because I know that people made up fake accounts. Yeah. So again, I'm kind of careful in that department because I know that people made up fake accounts. Yeah.